Alright guys, in this video we're going to talk about the after range report on this fine weapon. Pretty much just wanted to go over my first impressions, all that good stuff. Okay, so as you guys know, I had a great time at the range. Alright, so as you guys know, I came back from the range super stoked because I did accomplish the goal that I set out to accomplish, which was sighting in the scope in 1 to 3 rounds. And I did it in 3 rounds, but not only I did it, I hit a bullseye, which was really satisfying. And then at 100 yards, we got the bullseye down on the 5th round, on the 5th sugar pull. So a total 8 shots taken at the range. Felt like $1 million though, all thanks to this rifle. So a few things I wanted to go over. One, recoil absorbency is unmatched. Like this stock with the muzzle brake just does such an amazing job at absorbing recoil. I'm talking it feels almost, I would say it's about identical to an AR-15 recoil, but it feels better on your shoulder because this has like an inch thick soft rubber pad at the end of the buttstock. So combination of the muzzle brake, soft pad, properly designed stock, good action, all that together makes this rifle absorb that 308 to where it literally feels like you're shooting a 5.56, which is really impressive. I'm really happy with that. Trigger, I can't say enough good things about the trigger. I know some guys are recommending me I get a Timney. Timney trigger is pretty expensive. You have to do a little bit of work to it in order to fit it into this lower trigger guard by Magpul, so you have to shave a little bit off of that and you have to shave a little bit off the trigger. I don't really want to do that, and to be honest, the stock trigger is just phenomenal. There's no creep, it breaks clean as glass, there's no slop in it. I mean, it's literally, you put your finger on it. Really, the best way to describe it is the trigger feels like if you have a double action revolver and you cock the hammer and then you pull the trigger, like let's say a 357 Magnum, like a Smith & Wesson 686, you cock the hammer, you pull the trigger. Literally, this trigger feels like that out of the box. So feels really good on your finger, feels really natural. It just makes it that much more enjoyable to shoot. So let me show you the targets from the 50 yard and 100 yard, so then we can kind of go over what I did here. So the very first shot I took is I bore sighted it to the best of my knowledge, and I basically used a piece of wood for the front of the rifle, and I used my own hand to support the buttstock. So it wasn't a very precise bore sighting because the rifle had a little bit of movement in it, but I did my best, and the first shot landed here. The goal was to get the scope dialed in 3 rounds, right? Not necessarily get a bullseye, but at least to have it on paper or within reasonable range, so then you can fine tune it, dial it in with more rounds, whatever. I took a second shot and it landed here, and the reason for that was to make sure that the first shot wasn't me doing something random, it's actually shooting there. Second shot landed here. Then what I did is I looked through my scope and I said, well, we're probably about an inch and a half to 2 inches or so, inch and a half too far left and 2 inches too high, right? Because it's at 50 yards, I basically pretty much doubled that. I went 12 clicks down, and then I went about, I think I went to the right about the same amount. The third shot landed here, which was awesome, right? Then we pushed it out to 100 yards, and the very first shot at 100 yards landed here. So the windage was slightly off and the elevation was way off, right? Which is understandable because you really want to sight in. Okay, so what ends up happening is from 0 to 50 yards, you actually have to aim higher in order to get to hit lower. It's weird because of the way the bullet drop is, right? Because your bullet's still going up, accelerating. At 50 yards, what ends up happening is a bullet hasn't reached its potential peak yet. So you're still kind of like, it's like a plane taking off. So we're still in the departure stage of it. So when you're sighting in a rifle of this nature at 50 yards with 308 caliber, your bullet hasn't even began to like really, hit its peak. So you're gonna want to aim higher in order to get it on paper or whatever. That's why I adjusted down more. I ended up going about 3 MOA equivalent at 100 and only at 50 yards because I needed to make up for that difference. It's a little bit confusing, but if you do a little bit of research, you'll understand. I'm not trying to really get into that in this video. So then at 100 yards, it shot here, of course, because now the bullet actually stabilized and it's way off here. Then the second shot, I adjusted I believe 4 clicks. Well, I say it in the video after I leave the range. I can't remember now, but I adjusted it a little bit and it landed here. Third shot landed here. Then the fourth shot, I adjusted too much and it landed down here. And the fifth shot, I split the adjustment between these 2 points, and as you could tell, the very fifth shot hit the bullseye. So all in all, this is my first time really doing semi-long range. I mean, I wouldn't call 100 yards long range, but this is my first time really shooting anything at 100 yards. I've never really shot at 100 yards. Usually I just shoot at 50, and I've shot at 300 yards with iron sights before. And I ended up getting on paper, but it was kind of all over the place. So what this means is that now all I have to do is use the reticle and use the points that are below the 0. So at 200 yards, you just use the one lower. At 300, you'd use, one, and 400 and so forth. I believe it goes down to 5. So at 500 yards, your crosshairs are going to be like here, and then you're going to hit here. Again, because of the bullet drop and everything. Scope sighted in at 100 yards, on point. That means all I have to do is just pretty much use the reticle and the crosshairs from this point forward if I want to stretch this out to 300 whatever range. Another goal of mine was to go get some nice grouping at the range, but I got to the range a little bit late. I really wanted to focus on dialing this in, so I didn't focus on grouping. I didn't even get a chance to shoot the Winchester ammo, so all I shot was Federal soft point. We're gonna take this out one more time and we're gonna focus only on grouping. So what we're gonna do is, and that'll give me a chance to reload some 308 because I have some spent brass now. I can reload a few rounds to compare. That way I'm not just showing you guys one round or one type of ammunition, or maybe 2 types of shelf ammo and that's it. I want to at least have 3 or 4 different kinds of ammo plus my own reload. So let's say ZQ1 or whatever they call that ammo, and I have some Italian Perfecta, I think, and then we're gonna do, is it Italian? I think it was Italian, from my memory serves me right. Then we got Winchester and we got Federal. So we got those 4 that I can bring, and then we can do my reload. So 5 different types of ammo, and we'll compare all 5. I may end up doing this at a BLM land instead. I have a few of these targets left, and I have a few of my own targets, I mean whatever, and I have some steel plates, so we're probably gonna just go out to the BLM land. I'll take you guys with me. We'll actually have the camera set up. I'll be able to talk to because there won't be any people shooting, and there's not gonna be all this outside noise. I'll be able to focus and really dial in my groups, because when you're shooting at the range, if a guy next to you is shooting some crazy caliber and you're trying to really focus on your shots, it's gonna throw you off. I mean, unless you're absolutely good at blocking things out, it's most likely gonna throw off your aim a little bit. Luckily, a dude next to me was shooting a 22. I could barely even hear it, so it wasn't interfering with my shots. Between, range going hot, ceasefire, and, everything else, and people talking to you and walking by you and everything, it's kind of difficult to focus on some at the range, especially if you're on a time limit. So we'll go out to the BLM land, take you guys with me. We'll set up in the back of the 4Runner. We'll set up a table. We'll set up some targets, and I'll push them out. What I do need to get is a rangefinder. On a budget right now, so I may be able to trade something for one. I don't know if you guys have one that you're trying to get rid of. Let me know in the comments. I prefer the Vortex rangefinder. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I'll even get the cheaper one. The one that only goes out to 700 yards or whatever. That's more than enough for what I'm trying to do right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Just kind of wanted to go over quickly, about my first impressions after the range. And this easily is one of my favorite rifles now. I love the bolt action. I love how smooth it is. Just love how accurate this thing is, how easy it is to adjust, how easy it is to shoot, how little recoil it gives off. It's just great rifle. I mean, I couldn't have asked for better guns. That's another thing. This scope, being a budget scope, really impressed me. It's not, their high-end scope. It's not their Viper series or their Razor series or whatever. It's just a plain old Crossfire. Between the adjustments being very on point, glass being incredibly clear, couldn't have asked for better parts. These rings, I mean, the rail, everything, the install of everything went smooth. Everything held on. Nothing shifted. I mean, good quality altogether. Budget mindful, yet very good performing. So that's exactly how I like it. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. We'll probably be doing a little bit of other videos in between. So stay tuned. There'll be a lot more gun content, a lot more off-roading content coming up, some Jeep stuff. So be sure to subscribe and hit that bell. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.